This is the Berman Method podcast featuring Dr. Jake Berman and physician assistant Jenni Berman. We are here to treat problems and not symptoms. Disclaimer, this podcast is for entertainment purposes only and not to treat anyone or to give medical advice. If you are interested in any information that we are giving and would like to use this for yourself, we recommend that you contact your primary care physician or reach out to us and ask us questions about yourself specifically. Enjoy.
And we're back for the Berman Method podcast, where we are treating problems, not symptoms, baby. We call it the Berman Method because we are all about going against the corporate medical system. We want to fix the actual problem, not your symptoms. The common example that we've been giving is a headache. You have a headache, so what do? You reach for ibuprofen, Tylenol, Advil, versus saying, wait a minute, what's going on? What caused this headache to begin with? Why don't we fix that problem instead of taking this medication to mask the actual symptoms? The symptom is the headache, but what's the problem that caused the headache? Anyways, my name is Dr. Jake Berman. I am solo today. My lovely wife, Jenni, will be with you next week with a great episode, so stay tuned for that one. What I want to talk about today is Medicare, dun, 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 Medicare, and how specifically it is actually killing your health. What the heck? I thought Medicare was supposed to take care of your health. No, Medicare is actually killing your health. Let me explain. Let's go back to physical therapy. In physical therapy, if you have Medicare and you want to go to physical therapy, all you have to do is call up a physical therapy clinic that has a participating relationship with Medicare and sign up, and Medicare will pay for your physical therapy up to a certain dollar amount. Man, it's been years since I've checked, but the last time I checked, I think it was somewhere around $1,800 was the maximum amount that Medicare would pay for your physical therapy for the year, as long as it was a covered diagnosis. Now, this is where it gets really tricky, is when it's a covered diagnosis. So what that means is the physical therapist has to justify medical necessity in order for this to be called a covered diagnosis or a covered intervention, and to be reimbursed from Medicare for treating you, the patient that has Medicare for your primary insurance. The challenge is Medicare is in charge of what they deem as medically necessary. Where it gets tricky for us manual therapists is if Medicare doesn't deem manual therapy as medically necessary, a medically necessary intervention to get you back to where you need to be, then they will not pay for it. Now, what does that mean, get you back to where you need to be? In order for a diagnosis to be considered medically necessary or covered diagnosis, it must affect your ADL. So let's take back pain, for example. Your back pain has to be so bad that you cannot do your normal activities of daily living. You can't get up, you can't shower, you can't fix yourself breakfast, you can't commute, you can't get in your car, you can't grocery shop, things like that. Those are activities of daily living. So if you are unable to do those things, then Medicare will pay for physical therapy services to help you get back to being able to do those things. Now notice, I said do those things, not get rid of your back pain. Medicare does not care about pain. They care about your ability to do things. So in that sense right there, we actually are very similar, where I really don't care about your pain either. I care about what's causing your pain. But we're coming at it from very different angles, right? So back to the example. If you have back pain, but you really only have back pain when you're playing golf, you're able to go to the grocery store, you're able to bathe yourself, you're able to take care of yourself at home, you're able to do things around the house. The only time your back really flares up is when you're playing golf. You want to go to physical therapy for that back pain so that you can play a round of golf without back pain. Medicare will not pay for it. So this is where it would get tricky. Back when I was working at one of my previous jobs, working at an in-network clinic, somebody would come in with Medicare and they would give me that exact example where they'd say, I don't have back pain any other time except for on the back nine when I'm playing around a golf. And then I'd have to say, okay, are you sure your back doesn't bother you at any other time? And they'd say, no, it doesn't. It just hurts when I'm on the back nine. And I would say, are you sure it doesn't bother you getting out of bed in the morning? Are you sure it doesn't bother you when you bend over to pick something up off the ground? And they would say, no, it just hurts on the back nine. And I'd just say, I'll just level with them and say, listen here, I can't treat you unless you tell me that you have a functional deficit, meaning that there's something in your daily life that you can't do. Because if you're only having back pain when you're golfing, Medicare will not pay for it. So I could treat you and I could submit these bills to Medicare, but there's a chance that they will not reimburse us for these services. So I really need you to tell me that there's something else going on. So think real hard. Come on, think hard. Isn't there something that happens during your life that's not golf related where your back is bothering you? And then they'd eventually say, oh yeah, I guess it does bother me here or there. Now this got very tricky for me because here I am coaching somebody on how to quote unquote give it to the man or stick it to the man, if you want to call it that, where that's not the reason why they came there in the first place. They came there in the first place because their back was bothering them on the back nine. Now, who is Medicare to say that that's not a quality of life thing, where if you can't go out there and play around a golf, if that's way more important to you than being able to go to the grocery store or being able to take care of yourself, then we should be able to treat you for that. And not ironically, but surprisingly, or initially when I started working with golfers, that would be the case where somebody would have back pain doing everything else. They would literally crawl out of bed and spend hours trying to warm up just so that they could limp out onto the golf course and play 9 holes. It meant that much to them where they didn't care about their back pain for any other aspects in life other than golf. As long as they could golf, everything else was going to be okay. So now let's get back to the original title of this thing, where Medicare is killing your health care. All of the other insurance companies essentially follow Medicare's lead. So whatever Medicare does, the rest of the insurance companies will pretty much follow with their own take on it, but pretty much doing very similar to what Medicare does. So if Medicare decides that they're only going to pay for A and not B, guess what the rest of the insurance companies do? They also say, well, we're only going to pay for A and not B. So it's a trickle-down effect where Medicare really is the driving factor on what kind of health care you can get from a covered clinic, if you want to call it that. So covered medical services. So let's take another example. Let's use a surgery, for example. Ooh, everybody loves it when we talk about knee replacements and hip replacements. You can, let's say you're 70 years old. You've been walking around on a bum knee for 10 years, doing everything that you can to put off a knee replacement. Then ultimately, you can't even walk anymore. So you go to the surgeon and the surgeon says, yep, you definitely need a knee replacement. Look at this x-ray. It is bone on bone. You've had pain for 10 years. You need a knee replacement. The first thing that surgeon has to do, because of Medicare's guidelines, is he's going to say, okay, you've got to try out physical therapy first, or you've got to try out an injection first, or you've got to try XYZ first. I don't know what the other things are, but I know that you do have to jump through some hoops first before you can have a knee replacement. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that is really great. I think that is a phenomenal thing, because there are some surgeons out there that are scalpel happy, where anybody that walks into that office, okay, yeah, let's do a knee replacement. Let's do a hip replacement. Get on the schedule. I'll see you tomorrow at noon. Let's get that thing done. And I don't believe that that is a good thing by any means. However, on the flip side of it, I do think that we do have to use a little common sense here. If somebody's come in after 10 years of pain and doing everything they can to avoid the scalpel, and you can see that knee is a huge valgus angle on it. That means that the knee bows in towards the other knee. They've been in pain for so long, they can't even walk. They're hobbling around. I mean, come on. Are you really going to make this guy go through another 8 weeks of hobbling around on it just so that you can, while he goes to some cookie cutter physical therapy clinic, just to check the box to Medicare and say, yep, we tried that. Didn't work. Of course it didn't work. So these are the challenges that we run into with Medicare is because it is such a blanketed thing, because it's such a big thing, because it's a one size fits some versus a one size fits all model, there's a lot of people that do not get the care that they need. That's the number one reason why I decided to go out of network with every insurance, where I don't take any insurance at all. I'm 100% cash, have been that way since I opened up back in 2015. And it ultimately came down to that example that I gave previously, where one day I was working at the clinic, the in-network clinic at my last job, and I'm sitting here having to coach this guy just to give me something that I could write down to say that this was a medically necessary intervention. Let me say that again, a quote unquote medically necessary intervention in the eyes of Medicare. And I'm going, are you freaking kidding me? This guy is 75 years old. All the guy wants to do is play some golf. He's retired. The best thing he's got going on in his life right now is that he can get out there on the golf course. He loves it. That's what he's living for right now. And his back is bothering him while he plays. He's feeling himself start to lose that ability to do it. He's coming to me for help, and I have to sit here and coach him on how to bend the truth, so to speak, just so that I can document medical necessity and give me a better chance at getting reimbursed for my PT services. I'm like, this is such a broken system. So that's the main reason why I went out of network, because in cash, pay for whatever you want. It's your money. It's your cash. I'll do whatever you want me to do for you. And here's one of my favorite sayings that I tell people is, I'll do exactly what you need, no more, no less. Where I'm not going to waste your time. If I think you need some manual, I'm going to give you some manual. If I think you need some exercise, I'm going to give you some exercise. If I think you need some stretching, I'll give you some stretching. I'm not going to give you a bunch of exercises just so that I can document it and get reimbursed for it. There's a lot of people that I work with that don't need exercises, where they might just need to be tweaked here and there and get in there and dig something out. So why would I spend time exercising that person if there's a mechanical restriction in there that needs to be freed up first with my hands? So that's the best part about paying cash, is you can get exactly what you want, exactly what you need, no more, no less. Now, one of the challenges that we run into is the expectation, especially in America, that you pay for insurance. So insurance should cover whatever type of medical intervention that you're trying to go get, especially those that have Medicare. Those that have Medicare, they truly believe that they should never pay for another medical intervention ever again. And I agree. I mean, that's fine. Go ahead. You can have whatever medical intervention you want that qualifies for Medicare, right? That's the caveat there. Put things in perspective here. There's all sorts of brand new cars that you can buy, right? I use this analogy a lot. You can go to a brand new car lot. Let's use Hyundai, for example, or even Kia, or whatever. Just one of these. I hope I don't get in trouble with this, but it's a lower than average car market, right? You can buy at the time of this recording, you can buy a brand new Kia for 15 grand. Brand new car, right out the door, 15 grand. I mean, that's insane for a brand new car. Then you can drive down the street and you can go to Mercedes or the Maserati. Let's go to a Maserati dealership. I don't know if you can buy a car for under $100,000. It's a brand new car, though. This is where it kind of boggles my mind, if you want to call it that, where people don't see this as a good analogy, but they're both brand new cars, right? It's a brand new Kia, a brand new Hyundai for $15,000, or a brand new Maserati for $150,000. If you break it down, they are both just brand new cars. But why would somebody spend $150,000 on a Maserati versus a Kia? Think about it. Why would somebody do that? If you just want a vehicle to get you from point A to point B and you don't care about anything else, get the Kia. There's no reason why you should spend $150,000 on a Maserati. The Kia or the Hyundai, that is cookie cutter physical therapy. That is insurance-based physical therapy in general. Now, don't get me wrong. There's a ton of insurance-based physical therapy clinics out there that do a really good job. And I was fortunate enough to work for two of them. The first one that I worked for right out of PT school was out in Destin, working for Bob Seaton at Orthopedic and Sports Physical Therapy. That was an in-network clinic and is very good because Bob set the precedent where he said that we will not compromise care for reimbursement, meaning that you could only see 2 people an hour max. Where a lot of corporate PT clinics, they'll see 3 or 4 people an hour because it's just get them in, get them out. It's all about productivity. But Bob was very firm on no, we cannot provide a quality care if we see more than 2 people an hour. So yeah, we'll take Medicare, but we're only seeing 2 people an hour. So you could still provide a pretty decent service for that. Very similar business model in Jacksonville, my last clinic at John Getz Physical Therapy. I was working for Aaron Robles there. He actually has a cash clinic now that's called Innovative Therapy Solutions out of Jacksonville. And the same thing at the insurance-based clinic was, it's 2 people an hour max. So you can provide a pretty decent quality of care there. It's just not as good as you can get for an hour of one-on-one time versus, 30 minutes of one-on-one time. And you're only, again, at the in-network clinic, even though you're getting 30 minutes of one-on-one time, the PT is seeing 2 patients an hour, they still have to do the intervention that's going to be covered by Medicare. And usually it's the intervention, they choose an intervention that is the highest reimbursable, because there are interventions that are reimbursed by Medicare, but if one intervention reimburses $20 a unit, and another intervention reimburses $40 a unit, it's kind of frowned upon to bill the code that gives you $20 a unit back, because from a business model, you still got to make money. So anyways, back to where we're going with this thing, where the Maserati, right? Why would you pay $150,000 for a Maserati? It's just a brand new car. It's just a vehicle to get you from point A to point B. Because of the way it makes you feel, because of the status, because of the luxury, because of all the bells and whistles that comes with a Maserati, maybe the dependability. I don't know. I mean, I haven't done a ton of research on Hyundais or Kias as far as longevity goes, but let's just assume that you don't know that a Kia won't break down on you after 5 or 10,000 miles. If that Maserati breaks down on you after 5 or 10,000 miles, we got a problem. I'm just assuming, I'm not a car guy. I'm not a car guy at all, but I would assume that if you spend that kind of money on a car, that thing better run a while. Now, here's where it gets really great. Let's say that both cars break down. The Kia breaks down at 10,000 miles and the Maserati breaks down at 10,000 miles. You have to take the car back to the dealership to be serviced or get fixed up, whatever the problem is. Which dealership do you think you're going to get a better experience at? The Kia dealership or the Maserati dealership? Just think about it for a while. I'm sure there's quite a few people listening to this thing that have been to a Maserati dealership. You might be even driving a Maserati. I can guarantee you that your experience is going to be dramatically different going into a Maserati dealership to have your car fixed up versus going into a Kia dealership to get your car fixed up. I can guarantee you that. And that's what we're talking about in physical therapy. You go into an in-network clinic. It's essentially an assembly line. Get them in, get them out. Just take a number. Here's your sheet of exercises. Go over there, get on the bike, start riding the bike to do your warm up, then go do these stretches and exercises. You might have a tech or an aide over there to help you out. Then at the very end, we'll put some E-stim on you, some electrical stimulation on you, throw an ice pack on you, a heat pack on you, and then get out and we'll do it all over again 3 times a week for 6 weeks. Or come to a cash-based clinic. You walk in, it's just you. Front desk knows your name. You pick up a conversation that you had the last time that you were there. They ask you about how your grandkids are doing and what the plans are for the weekend. And then you go back and you have your treatment with your PT one-on-one for an entire hour. It's actually hands-on. Their hands are physically on you and guiding you through it to make sure that everything is done 100% correct. At the end of the treatment, we confirm that you know exactly what we did today and how to keep the gains attained during that session until the next session. You walk out to the front desk again and you pick up the conversation where you left it off, and you just have a really great experience at a cash-based clinic versus an in-network clinic. And the best part about all of it is you get better faster. You get better faster because you get the care that you need. No more, no less. We're not going to do some cookie cutter crappy intervention just because we're going to get paid for it by the insurance company. We're going to do exactly what you need. You're the one flipping the bill. You're spending a ton of money to come see us when you could easily walk next door, go to the PT clinic right down the road from me. They'll take your insurance and it'll pretty much be free. But you choose to spend a lot of money to come see me because I'm not the frickin' Kia dealership, right? We're the Maserati. We care about how you feel. We care that you get the care that you need. So wrapping everything up, Medicare is killing your healthcare. That's where we started this thing. I hope that makes a little bit more sense because it probably is the number one pushback that we get, or the concern that we get on the first phone call is, why don't you take Medicare? Why don't you take Blue Cross Blue Shield? Why don't you take any of these insurances? Because they're crap. They're not going to give you the care that you need. We are literally, at the time of this recording, literally the only clinic in town 100% out of network with all insurances. Go to any other clinic in town. I think I remember a couple of years ago doing a quick Google search, and there was over 150 physical therapists in Naples. Don't come to me. Go somewhere else if you want them to take your insurance. Come to me if you want the Maserati experience. Come to me if you actually want to fix things and do it the right way. That's why I'm building the business the way that I am. The more people that we can help avoid needless surgeries while maintaining a high quality of life, the better off I'll sleep at night, because you don't need all this other crap. Let's just get to the root problem. Keep your quality of life good. Let's get it up through the roof. Let's make sure you can keep golfing as long as you want. Let's make sure you can get down on the ground and play with your grandkids. Let's make sure that you can walk on the beach. Whatever you want to do, let's keep doing it and have a great life. So again, that was my rant. That was me up in my soapbox and just voicing it like it is. I've had this same exact conversation that I just gave you guys hundreds and hundreds of times since I've been open, since 2015. So I hope you can sense the passion through my voice today. I hope that you learned something. I hope it makes a little more sense, that you really do get what you pay for. Remember this, everybody pay attention to this. I want you to leave today's talk, this podcast today, with this one thing. There's not been a single time in life that I can remember where cheaper was the better value. Think about that. Was there ever a time, can you remember a time where you've had two things where you thought was essentially a commodity? They're both the same exact thing. There's two things, and one was cheaper. Was that cheaper one ever a better value than the more expensive one? The answer is probably no, especially with things that actually matter, not commodities. Commodities, that's not a good example. But it's very rare, I don't know if it's ever happened, where cheaper was the better value of two options. So that's all I have for you today. Again, you have my beautiful wife, Jenny, with you next week. Until then, this is the Berman Method Podcast. Check us out on our social medias. Check us out on YouTube. Check us out on our website, bermanpt.com. Check out my wife, bermanpt.com/wellness. And I'd love to hear your comments on this one. This one usually gets people fired up, so feel free to comment away. Email me. I'd love to hear that. drberman@bermanpt.com. Let me know what you think. Hope everybody has a great day and keep on keeping on, baby.
Thank you for subscribing on your social media and podcast platforms to the Berman Method. Dr. Jake Berman with Berman Physical Therapy and Jenni Berman, Physician Assistant with Berman Health and Wellness. You can find more information on our website, www.bermanpt.com for physical therapy, bermanpt.com/wellness for the health and wellness. You can also find us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, and on your podcast platform. So be sure to follow us, like us, subscribe to us. And if you would like any further information, definitely visit our website and reach out to us. You may also find our free reports on the websites as well, where you can download this free information